Alrighty, so this is my second time recording this spoilers discussion on chapter 386 because the first time my phone decided not to record the audio. So if you do enjoy, please subscribe for my pain and suffering. So let's get into the video. This is a crazy chapter and it opens with us hearing La Brava and a police officer and multiple police officers talking about the situation going on at Gunga with the Todorokis. Right now, Toya is like concealing his heat within his own body while fighting Endeavor, and he's going to explode. It's going to impact a 5-kilometer radius, and this is going to be detrimental to shelters around that area. A weird thing here is that Toya seemingly is regenerating. He looks a lot less burnt up and injured than he did previously, so I don't know if we're going to see some of that Phoenix quirk theory come to fruition here, where he's actually healing somehow. I'm not sure how that's going to work out, but nonetheless, he does look better here. This might have just been a mistake by her Koshi or just a decision to make him look this way. I'm not quite sure, but we'll find out in the upcoming chapters. It looks like the Todorokis who are evacuating their shelter, that being Natsuo and Rei and everyone, they're going to be apparently showing up at Gunga possibly. It looks like that's where their evacuation location is going to be around. So they may join this final confrontation against Toya as well alongside Endeavor and alongside Shoto Todoroki, which I'll get into now. Picking up where we left off with Ida and Todoroki, we hear them talking about the situation and how they still have to push themselves regardless of how tired they are, or how tired Shoto is after using his phosphorus technique against Toya. Their plan is to try to stop All For One because there's no one else to do so at the moment, and he's on his way to meet Shigaraki and Deku, so they want to intercept that. But then they hear from All Might, who gets in contact with them over a communicator and tells them that they have to be the one to go and help Endeavor against Toya because their quirks and them are the only ones capable of doing so at the moment, that being half hot, half cold, as well as Ida's engine quirks. So he's saying that Ida has to just speed there, get there in time before this explosion happens, and they're going to have to try to help out as much as they can as far as evacuations go or concealing the explosion and the blast. I'd say this makes sense considering Shoto has his ice, which is more of a concealing thing than Endeavor's fire. Endeavor can really conceal the explosion that Dabi's gonna let off here, or Toya, whatever you want to call Dabi. But yeah, well, Todoroki is thinking that he'd rather be trying to fight All For One, as that might seem more prevalent since he's on his way to Deku and Shigaraki. All Might tells him not to worry, and we see that All Might himself is standing in front of All For One's way. And All Might's going to be fighting All For One quirkless, but now he has some sort of Iron Man-like armor that his suitcase is turning into, which I believe actually happened in one of the Iron Man movies. This just looks visually stunning and really cool. It's cool to see All Might back in action. We see him thinking back to earlier in the story when Deku asked if he could still become a hero even though he's quirkless, and of course All Might was quirkless before gaining One For All as well as Deku. All For One here just looks extremely pissed off. We hear from Hawks' report that this is a younger, more kind of sadistic and risk-taking side of himself as he's reversing. So instead of just passing by All Might, he just stops here, looks really angry, and is gonna fight him. Probably not strategically the best move, but nonetheless, he is acting on emotion here. So yeah, we're gonna get an All Might versus All For One fight here. Somewhat like I predicted, I thought that All Might would be having some sort of Eri intervention where he has a fleeting ember of One For All left that Eri kind of awakens using her rewind quirk. And then these two powerhouses, both kind of rewinding into nothingness essentially, are going to use up the last of their fighting abilities and quirks. I thought that'd make thematic sense, kind of putting them on that same level of, okay, they're both kind of past their prime and rewinding right now, and one is trying to get to Shigaraki in a more selfish way to take over and continue his reign, while All Might's trying to prevent him from getting to Deku and Shigaraki so Deku can continue on. So, you know, one selfless, one selfish. That's All For One and One For All. I did a more expanded video on that, which I'll link below, but I do think that would have been cool. Nonetheless, what we're seeing here makes a lot of thematic sense too, with All Might thinking, well, I am quirkless, but I can still be a hero and be useful to the battle. And the chapter ends with him saying, I am here. One thing that I didn't mention that I think is going to come into prevalence here for sure is the fact that Stain was watching over Ida and Todoroki, thinking that they are real heroes and risking it all to save people, seeing as they're going to go help the evacuation and prevention of Dabi's blast in Gunga. So that's seemingly the end of that storyline from earlier on in season 2, where he didn't believe that Ida was a real hero and was going to kill him. Now he sees that they both are real heroes, and it's really, really cool and gratifying to see this conclusion to that arc. That being said, though, I don't think he's going to follow them and help the Todoroki situation. I think after overhearing their conversation with All Might, he's going to aid All Might against All for One. This will be, again, super thematically satisfying, as we just had Stain and All Might meet at the end of season 6 of the anime and have their whole conversation. Of course, Stain idolizes All Might and was shocked to see his true form once he lost One for All and everything, wants him to continue fighting and standing up for what's right and saving people, of course. So yeah, I think Stain is going to end up jumping into this fight to save his idol All Might. I might do a whole video more in depth on that idea, but I'm pretty certain this is where Stain's arc is going to be revolved around, especially because of how much he idolizes All Might and has had interactions with him that are really meaningful to the story. Again, season 6 pretty much like ended with that interaction, and it was really powerful and interesting. So yeah, really amazing chapter. I might have missed a few things, but again, just the spoilers are out, so I wanted to talk about what's standing out. We have the Toya situation, and the Todorokis all seemingly going to Gunga, so that's going to come to a crazy conclusion. And now we have All Might versus All for One here. All Might, of course, being quirkless with this like Iron Man suit type thing happening, and I believe Stain will intervene and help All Might in this battle, I'm pretty sure. I would love to see that, and I think it's what's going to happen. Regardless though, really great chapter. I enjoyed it a lot. That's it for this video, so please subscribe if you enjoyed, comment your thoughts on the chapter, and I'll see you all in the next one.